Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I wanted to do a quick video. There was some new information that came out from the VA changing their rule for the benefit of veterans. This is really important information for many of us, as though there are 40,000-ish or more that are being affected by the potential rule that the VA had in place, which was they got rid of another one, blah, blah. Anyway, let's jump into it. The headline here is VA halts foreclosures for thousands of veterans about to needlessly lose their homes. I've done a couple videos on this problem. The problem was that the COVID forbearance, once the VA pulled some of the safety nets around that and ended them, it put veterans in a precarious situation. So what was happening, in contrast to conventional loans and FHA loans, VA home loans had little ways to actually stretch out or add to the back of their mortgage any missed payments from this COVID forbearance. For conventional loans, typically they would just add any missed payments to the end of the loan and go, okay, now start making your payments again. That went away and was not available for VA. Now, VA said, hey, we're working on something. It's going to take 4 to 5 months to get that taken care of. Meanwhile, we have people on the battlefield, theoretically, bleeding out with their mortgages going into foreclosure. So I'm just bringing you up to speed. So there was information pushed out from different news outlets, Congress, Senate. The Senate started pushing on the Biden administration to push on the VA in order to put some sort of stay in effect, allowing people to stay in their homes while they figure out their plan that's supposed to take 5 months. So here we are. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I'm going to read this to you now. VA halts foreclosures for thousands of veterans about to needlessly lose their homes. Moving on here in the article, the Department of Veterans Affairs is halting foreclosures for 6 months for veterans and service members who have VA loans. 6 months. You get a 6-month stay halting foreclosures there. So that's important. If you're in that process, foreclosure process, if it were me, I'd reach out to the VA home loan division and I would reach out to my lender and make sure that they're aware of what's going on. One, inform the VA that you are in that process, and then also inform your lender, your servicer, the person you write the checks to, or the company that you write the checks to, that the VA is halting foreclosures for 6 months. So the move follows an investigation by NPR that found thousands of veterans who took what's called the COVID forbearance are now at risk of losing their homes through no fault of their own. Helping veterans and their families stay in their homes is a top priority at VA, said the press secretary Terrence in a statement. We are calling on mortgage servicers to pause foreclosures for VA guaranteed loans through May 31st, 2024. Now look, this is the right thing to do, and I'm glad they're doing it. It's sad that it took news outlets, people like us sharing information, sharing videos about this stuff, creating more information or more buzz around it. The leadership on the Senate side reaching out to finally get this thing to turn. So that part's kind of sad. They should have just done it if they had that power. All right. Moving on, the forbearance program was set up by Congress after the pandemic hit in order to let people who suffered from loss of income skip mortgage payments for up to 6 to 12 months, and they have an affordable way to start paying their mortgage again. But in October 2022, the VA ended part of that program that allowed homeowners an affordable way to get current on their loans again, which seems ridiculous, which has left many veterans facing foreclosure. The VA has a new program to replace it, but says it'll take 4 to 5 months to implement. That's too late to help the many of the 6,000 people with VA home loans that had COVID forbearance and are currently in the foreclosure process. Meanwhile, there's 34,000 that are more, 34,000 or more are currently delinquent, according to information provided by the firm ICE Mortgage Technologies. After NPR first reported on the problem, a group of senators sent a letter to the VA asking them to immediately stop foreclosures. Without this pause, thousands of veterans and service members could needlessly lose their homes, said Senators Brown, Tester, Reed, and Kane all wrote in a letter. The VA Secretary basically in the letter that went to the VA secretary. This was never the intent of Congress. So, they removed the piece for an affordable way to get caught back up. And basically what was happening was, okay, well, now anything you haven't paid is now just due in full in order to get caught up. And nobody saved that kind of money. So it's pretty ridiculous if you ask me. All right, moving on. The VA said in a statement, now let's not take away from the fact that now there is a stay. It's 6 months long. No foreclosures should happen over the next 6 months, giving the VA time to implement their new program. So as that reminder, the VA said in a statement that by pausing foreclosures, we can continue assisting veterans with their loans while we launch our newest home retention option. Through the new program, the VA says it will basically purchase the loans back from the companies that currently hold them, modify them, and then hold them within a VA-owned loan portfolio. Interesting. This will empower us to work with veterans experiencing severe financial hardship to adjust their loans and their monthly payments so they can keep their homes, Hayes said in a statement. The VA's Undersecretary for Benefits, Josh Jacobs, said in a separate statement that he encourages any veteran who is struggling with making their payments to visit the VA at va.gov/housing-assistance or call 877-827-3702. We at the VA will do everything in our power to help veterans stay in their homes, Jacobs said. And that concludes it. Now, I do want to say this. If you are one of the folks that are either currently in the foreclosure process or you are currently delinquent and potentially going to roll into a foreclosure situation, and you think you're going to need help from the VA in this 4 or 5 month period, you need to start thinking about documenting all of your, basically everything that you needed to apply for your mortgage, right? So whether it's W-2s, bank statements, pay stubs, loss of a job, if you lost a job, if you have something in writing from your employer, maybe it was a layoff or what have you, you changed jobs and now you're paid less, then that goes back to the pay stubs and W-2s and so forth. You're going to need to start pulling all of that stuff together because you're going to need to submit that. So for them to work on some sort of a loan modification for you. So think about that. Start. I mean, they're probably going to want to go back a few months. I would say, you're going to have at least probably 2 to 3 months worth, potentially up to 6. It's hard to say what they're going to request. But you need to document anything that puts you into the situation in which you are currently in, meaning that you can't make your payments. So make sure you start thinking about that and start setting things aside and not just throwing things away like many of us do. So with that, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.